For our closing session, we're going to mix it up a little bit, and we like to call the next session a cafe-style discussion. Here's how it works. We invite a few people onto the stage. We have experts in urban planning, mass transit, self-driving cars, sustainability, smart grids, and smart cities. It's a ton of expertise. But we also know that a lot of people in the audience also have a ton of expertise, and we want to bring you into the conversation. So what I want to have happen once I call the crew up here, I want people to be prepared because Steve is going to likely call on you, and so he'll get the conversation embroiled in with the audience. So let's get rolling. Welcome to the stage, Nidhi Kalra, an information scientist at RAND.
Where would you like me to sit?
Right up there in the far corner.
Okay. Ed Kjaer is Director of Transportation Electrification at Southern California Edison. Lindy Lee is former Deputy CEO at LA Metro. And Dominique Smith is the Executive Director of the LA chapter of the U.S. Green Building Council. Steve?
Yes, great. Thank you. Hi, everybody. And I've got a couple of other friends here. Where's Dottie? Dottie? Here's Dottie. Dottie, stand up. Everybody, this is Dottie. She is Executive Director of the LA World's Fair. Did you know the LA was going to have a World's Fair? So she's really cool. And Francisco Contreras. Oh, yeah, you guys can't sit next to each other. Yeah, not like go over here. Here, just go sit next to him. He's cool. He's, crappy socks, but yeah, we'll work on them. Great shoes, great. I think you've got great socks. I can't tell. Yeah, and Francisco Contreras is the Innovation and Strategic Initiatives Manager at the City of West Hollywood. Thank you for being here. They've got mics. The mics are going to kind of go around. Everyone, this is Casey. Casey, come on in. Casey is this is our cafe. Would you like coffee?
I would
Tea?
love one.
Yeah, coffee.
Thank
you like
you.
cream?
No.
Okay, great. It's sugar. Here you go. Yeah. So, if you can get her to bring this, would you like
That's
some
all
coffee?
right. Cold is
Yeah,
good.
there we
Where's
go.
yours?
I definitely need coffee.
No Earl Grey?
Please.
Will you hold this for me? So this is our cafe, and I want to kind of bring, get everybody involved. But the broad vision is to sort of get an understanding of what are the competing visions. I used to work for Richard Nixon in the latter part of his life. I'm not that old, but I believe I embrace ruthlessness. And ruthlessness and competition, competitive notions. Because sometimes people talk about these subjects in a very warm and fuzzy way, right? It's going to be a great future. Everything is great. Everything's going to be fun. Progress is wonderful. But there's a notion, we don't have to necessarily talk about how a metro system is going to beat somebody else, but there is a certain degree of, if you win the LA World's Fair, someone's going to be pissed off, right? Someone out, that's your goal, right? That's your objective, is to screw the competition.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I'm going to start, and just ask Lily here. Lily has been running until recently the metro system right here in Los Angeles.
Yes.
So give us your vision, just as you were to think, both in what you have achieved in your role with the transportation network you had, but looking ahead, what's your vision of what we need to get right in a connected city?
In a connected city, Metro has, we're in Santa Monica. We're going to open the Expo line. Who's looking forward to that?
Yeah.
Come on, you guys. That's coming in 26. I know, it's coming. Hey, I have to get credit where we can. In 2016, we're also opening the Gold Line out to Claremont. So, our short-term.
That wasn't Claremont, right?
No, actually, I think that is going to be. I think the light rail here in Los Angeles needs to expand. I think it is in its infancy. I know the blue line's been here, the green line here, but I think there's a lot of need and want. The new millennials want it. The World's Fair want it. Actually, Tommy's been in my office a number of times.
Do they have any real chance?
I hope so. I pushed for quite to get there.
Yeah, may I say that Lindy was very instrumental in, you were one of our first meetings when we shared the vision.
Yes.
And you said, okay.
Yeah.
Actually, someone stood up at a board meeting at Metro.
What's
and
the
she's
coolest
the one,
thing you have planned what's your bold bet that you're going to bring to the table? Just don't give me the big 30-minute.
Okay. There's two
10
distinct
seconds.
differences in our World's Fair.
Yeah.
One is it's a distributed, decentralized fair along our new metro infrastructure.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Yes, and it's
You have to get people there.
2-year fair.
Yes.
Most of them are 6 months.
Huh.
So we have two distinct, unique.
So it's a long transportation network.
Yes.
So you're a living, breathing connected city fair.
That's our theme, the connected city.
I didn't even know that.
Yes.
I get it.
Wow.
That's
Yes, with
interesting.
Metro.
With
And LA.
Metro.
That's
Yes.
great.
So, there's the short term, I mean, it's not short term, the build out, I think, for the light rail is needed. It needs to go down to Orange County, needs to go. But with that said, you have to, the commercial, the commuter rail, and then our regional rail, you have to take into account all of the rail systems. Amtrak, we're going to have high-speed rail. You were talking to them, I don't know, 2 months ago.
Right.
It all has to work together. And I think the goal is to get them all to work together with the buses, with Uber, with our first mile, last mile. Most people can get to there, but it's not easy.
What are the biggest
walking.
barriers
Yeah.
to
And,
success?
and with electricity.
Yeah.
what
I'm
are
sorry?
what are the biggest barriers to succeeding?
You talked about competing, needs and wants. I think when
So
we
who loses if you win?
nobody loses.
Okay.
It's just nobody loses. Metro, whatever we build, somebody is winning. It's the amount of winners. We have more or fewer of them. Is it the operational cost of all these systems is probably what we're fighting the most.
And Ed, in energy land in Southern California Edison, all you're doing to look at this, what is the connected city, the connected region look like, and is it there yet?
Well, I think whether you power it, whether you enable it, whether you control it, it's going to be about using electricity. And I think the great thing about the energy system, the grid, is it is an energy security asset, not only for the country.
Right.
I mean, it's the second largest man-made object that you can see from space. I'm kidding, but go with me. We're all supposed to have fun here, right? So at the end of the day, I think it's about leveraging the shared use of that tremendous energy asset that we have as a nation. Now, there's a lot of challenges, as we talked about in the previous panel, about, we've got to fundamentally upgrade the infrastructure. And, in our case, in Edison's case, we're investing somewhere in the neighborhood of $4 billion a year in grid modernization.
I've been told I was out of the shot. I apologize.
And
I'm trying to get closer. Yeah, go ahead.
Are we in the shot? We're in the shot. Yeah. So those investments that we're making, we're not making for transportation, but the exciting part is transportation is going to benefit from them. And one of the
So can I push you a little bit? And I don't mean because you're
damn, I was on a roll.
You're the coolest utility guy I have met yet.
Oh, that's pretty good.
But
We need to get you out more.
Because I'm just interested because I don't know that much about Southern California Edison other than it's big and powerful and has money and resources. But my sense is, and tell me if I'm wrong, utilities around the country haven't been as much a part of the answer as they've been a part of the problem, in the sense that they're not nimble, they're risk averse, they're protected invested interests. I used to do Japanese politics. They're sort of like feudal castles with daimyo lords at the top that have big walls. And I'm interested in now, talk back to me. Tell me where I'm wrong.
I'd love to talk back to you. No, look, I think at the end of the day, there are 3,290 utilities in the United States. All right, so at the end of the day, I think it runs the gamut. There are the utilities on the left that basically say they're going to hold on to their vertically integrated model as long as they possibly can. And then I think on the right-hand side, there are the utilities that sort of see the writing on the wall. I mean, when one of the the commodity that we make moves at the speed of light, and for 40 years it's been controlled by analog technology. And as we modernize the grid, what we're doing is we're deploying digital technology. And as you deploy digital technology, more and more third parties can come in and say, well, I can do that, I can do that, I can do that. So the traditional utility business model is going to go by the wayside. And the utilities that recognize that and adapt and reinvent themselves will be the utilities that succeed. The utilities that don't do that, well, they'll go the way of the dinosaur.
Do you have a Skunk Works, the sort of R&D
Yeah.
of the future lab of your own?
Absolutely, we do.
What's the coolest thing we don't know about?
Personally, I think back in 2009, President Obama, just after his inauguration, he came to a facility at Edison called the EV Technical Center in Pomona. And this facility is an amazing place. It is unique in the utility industry, and it is a lab that is on par with a number of the national labs here in this country. And that's where he announced the $2.5 billion ERA funding program to build out a domestic supply capacity for electric vehicles. Because what we didn't want to do is we didn't want to swap a reliance on imported oil for a reliance on imported EV technology. And I think it's been a success. And I was fortunate enough to, with our chairman, Ted Craver, to give the president a tour. So that was one of the coolest things, that has happened to me. But I've been also in this field for, north of 20 years. And it's incredibly exciting to actually see that it's now happening. We've had a couple of bites at the apple, but electrification of our transportation future and connecting to the grid of the future is really, I think, the next 100 years in this country.
So
when it
smart
comes to
electrification and smart energy also takes us to smart conservation and smart building, right?
Of course.
Yeah,
And,
is that your line? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Dominique,
And
you're with the U.S. Green Building Council. You had
Yes.
the LA chapter.
yes.
I used to think that what you did was a fad and would go away in a few years. But it seems to have some resilience. So why are you having an impact? Because when you do go around Los Angeles and you look at Rand, I mean, is this a LEED certified building?
It sure is.
Really
2006.
Because I got to tell you, our old building was not.
Okay.
Yeah, but so there's change happening here, but what do you think is driving this? And when you hear about transportation, you hear what's going on with electrification. How does what you do fit into that?
Well, one point about EVs is we are in dire need of more EV charging infrastructure here in Los Angeles. I drive a Nissan Leaf. I can go 80 miles per charge, and I find myself having range.
80 miles?
80 miles. I have range anxiety every day.
Is that 80 miles in on these freeways at rush hour or?
It's just an average 80 miles, and we critically need these charging stations.
How's
I
the
agree.
charging station situation in West Hollywood?
We are building more and more of them every year. So in fact,
From
that's
0 to 2, so it looks like a lot, or do you have?
no, we actually have
Yeah.
a requirement that in all of our new developments, you have to actually incorporate them into your either residential or commercial.
How does
developments.
your per capita EV charging facility compare to, say, the greater Los Angeles area?
We're probably doing a lot better than the rest of Los Angeles.
Is that right?
Oh, it's absolutely right. It's absolutely right. When we look at our building stock downtown, we have several, high-rise buildings that have chargers, but it's not actually realistic to think.
What's that? What's
Yeah,
that?
at
LA
metro
Metro.
stations, you'll
Every
find
metro station
chargers.
has it, yeah?
Absolutely. But there's a dire need for it.
So what is your broader picture when we're talking about a connected city? Give us your vision.
My vision is green buildings for everyone within this generation. And a green building
Are there
can be
good green
many
buildings
things.
and bad green buildings?
No, they're all good.
Ah.
There's no such thing as a bad green building. However, when we're thinking about the connected future city of Los Angeles, one thing that's really interesting that I think people may not know about yet is the city of Los Angeles is participating in the City Energy Project. And there are 10 other cities.
It's called City Energy
City
Project?
Energy Project.
That's the most exciting name they could come up with.
Yep, absolutely. And so what we're
You
going to see.
said it with power.
Well,
Yeah.
what we are going to find in the next year and several years in the future is buildings of a certain size will be required to benchmark their energy usage and then make it public. And that is powerful information, because if you have the decision-making power to say, I want to be in a LEED
They're all
building.
going to move to
or
Arizona where they don't have to do that.
Yeah, oh.
No, I'm kidding.
So the power of disclosure and the power to make a choice based on a building that you now understand has better energy usage than its neighbor will make a very positive impact in Los Angeles.
So Nidhi Kalra, my understanding is you're sort of like the Keanu Reeves character in The Matrix. You get data. You're the data person, the information scientist at Rand. Rand's a pretty cool place to work, isn't it?
I love being here.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
How long have you been here?
8 years.
Oh, that's awesome. So what's the coolest thing you found out about Rand?
We invented windsurfing, which is something we were talking about.
Really?
Windsurfing.
There's like
Lily
this-
Lee's passion on her own time is windsurfing.
There's a book.
And Ed's is waterboarding. I'm not sure what that is.
Wakeboarding. Apparently English is a second language.
Apparently happens in the water. It's not snow. So Nidhi, you're the data person, and I think one of the big drivers here is we see more tools, and I think one of the interesting things, the consequential changes that are going on is that we've always had data, but now we can manipulate data, and we can channel data, we can do it, even though sometimes you have institutions that don't want to share it. So give us your insights into the future connected city and what it's going to require. What strategic leaps do we need to make?
You know what, I think actually, let me redirect your question, which is that, one of the things I think we're going to see is disruptive technology. Technology that we're just getting an idea that exists. And the example I like to give is that of autonomous vehicles or self-driving cars. How many people know what I'm talking about? Cars that drive themselves.
Does anyone
Google
have
car
one yet?
with the trash can. I've got two, so I would like one. But I think a lot of it is going to be responding to some really exciting technology that's coming out that right now we kind of have a dim idea that, oh yeah, car that drives itself. Okay, so I don't have to drive. It's going to change everything. Yeah. It's going to be, the way I think about it is we're kind of at a position right now where we were back in like 1989, 1990 when we had first got the internet. We're like,
Computers.
I can send a letter fast by email, right? And we didn't have any idea that it's going to change the way we
Taxes were king.
everything.
Yes.
I know.
Yeah.
And you were like doom doom doom, and you'd get the little dial up and stuff, right? And now we can't imagine our lives without it. And I think we're going to start seeing some technologies that do the same thing for our cities. That where, future generations, even, our children are going to be like, you did what? What did you do? And I think that there's several technologies like that that I think are going to really change what we mean, what we talk about when we talk about connected cities. I mean, it's a little it may be anachronistic to talk about a connected city the way we used to talk about the horseless carriage, right? So I think there's going to be a lot of big changes, and it's going to require a lot of our public institutions to be very nimble and forward-looking and respond quickly because technology is changing faster, I think, than we...
Do you worry about the vulnerability of such a connected system, the security of it? I mean, is that a fact? I mean, when I look at, I know this is a silly analogy, but just this pipeline burst off of Malibu, which when you think about those who would want to do ill, or you look at infrastructure that just falls apart, and I was trying to get onto my iPhone the other day and it froze, and it just reminds me that the systems that we take for granted are vulnerable to a whole lot of issues. Do you worry about that world you're talking about?
I mean, there's two sides to this coin. One is that by being connected, we get information around much faster, right? And we can lose the fact that we have central points of control. I mean, the old way of doing things was you have a single point of failure, right? They weren't very well connected, which meant that when one went down, the others maybe were able to stay afloat. Now we're connecting everything so you can get domino reactions, which concerns me. But at the same time, that interconnectedness means that we get a lot more information. We can be more resilient, I think, than we used to be rather than less, even though we give the illusion of, maybe...
So let me give an analogy of that. So in our industry, in the old days, when there was a failure on the system, we wouldn't know about it until the customer called us because it was all controlled by analog technology. And then we would roll a truck, and the truck would have to try and go and find the fault. And then we would roll the crew to go fix the fault. Well, now we're able to actually see when there are failures. We're able to isolate it. We're able to reroute the energy. And we're able to minimize the impact. Instead of it impacting, entire circuits, we can limit it down to, a number of houses, a few houses, and by rerouting it. And so I think this notion of information management, and embedded in that question too is your whole issue of cybersecurity, is going to become, is a really big issue. As our industry modernizes the system, because we're literally digitizing it, and that then creates
vulnerabilities.
Yeah.
I'm going to jump to Francisco and Dottie in a moment, but Lily, I want to ask you, and maybe everybody, because I think sometimes people have heroes, and some people have rivals, and some people they're envious of as ways to motivate themselves. So, what is Los Angeles envy in someone else's transportation? Is there anybody you think has done it so right, so well? That it's the envy of the world that has driven you? Or do you think that Los Angeles is doing it so right that it's the envy of everyone else?
Um,
Like I want to bring some envy and greed into this.
The only people that I think myself, the only system I actually think Hong Kong has a
Hong Kong.
has
What's
a.
Hong Kong getting right?
They're getting right. They're getting their ticketing. The way their ticketing is working. They use their one pass. It's the octopus. You can buy whatever they want. They use it for opening their buildings. They do it to log in
It's an
stuff.
octopus card.
It's an octopus card.
People are watching,
yeah.
yes.
Yes, but it's
not a real octopus.
No, it's it's not. Yeah, I'm sorry. It's what they call it for some strange reason. But
Yeah.
I think for envy, I want that system here in Los Angeles,
What
and
would
it's
you
one
call
of the
it?
ones that I don't know if they're branding it or we're allowed to brand. I have.
The Lily.
We would. I'm going to have to say it's Lindy actually, but
Lindy, oh, excuse
yeah.
me, Lindy, excuse me.
Yes, but
I still call it the
well,
Lily.
Lindy would be good. I like that actually. The name
Yeah.
too. I'd brand it with my name. That
Yeah.
would be good. I don't think the rest of Metro would like that.
But that's a coffee cup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we couldn't do
We
that.
can do all
Yeah.
kinds of stuff. Well, it's the Winnebago too. But I think that is the digital world.
Interesting.
You know, it's one smart car, or phone, or watch, or wherever we're going with this. I think that's what I envy right now.
Dominique, is your nightmare Finland and Denmark? I mean,
No, not at
Yeah,
all. But
yeah.
my hero is Australia.
Australia.
When we're obviously in this 4-year mega drought. It's the issue of the day. It's all we can talk about because if we don't have water, we don't have life here. We don't have an economy here. It's a huge
is
problem.
there any smart thinking going on in water here? I was just in Nevada recently, and I met a woman whose Twitter handle was Water Czar. I can't remember her name off the top of my head, but she said that Nevada and the area 10 years ago knew that this was coming. They worked to sort of consolidate a regional plan consistent with the earlier conversation. They got cooperation and subordination, frankly, of a lot of other players to create it. But in California, it just seems this fiefdom problem is a real problem, and it keeps people from working together. Is that a real issue?
Well, it's a huge issue, and we need to focus on local water, sourcing locally, not pumping it from Northern California, and being more resilient and reliable in our own water infrastructure.
Lindy, you were nodding.
I'm just thinking the Northern Central. We need smarter farming too.
Smarter
frankly.
farming.
Smarter farming.
But Jerry
I'm
Brown
from the
doesn't wanna
north.
go there,
Yeah,
apparently.
no, he does not.
Yeah.
I'm
You're
retired, so I don't need to worry.
criticizing him,
I'm
right?
retired now, so I don't
Yeah.
need to worry about this.
Yeah, you can say
Yeah,
what you
I can
feel.
actually say what I want. I'm going to be in a
Where
real
is
worse
Jerry Brown wrong?
Yes, he's not wrong, but
Yeah.
I think to conserve water in the future, we do need smarter farming. I used to live up in Marysville. They farm rice. That is not a really efficient. I mean, I don't know how else to get rice, by the way, but
Japan.
we have
Thailand.
yes, but we have to do a little bit smarter farming too.
Nidhi?
I think that's absolutely right. I mean, water it's partly what we do every day in that, there's such a push to try to get water efficient technology, energy efficient, but how many people really have LED lights in their homes, despite the fact that they pay for themselves and we know it's fantastic, will save money, or water saving technology. These are these are things that save money for the homeowner. They make sense for our cities, but it is so hard. To get that change to happen. And I think, utilities are to have a lot of programs. I mean, I'm involved in one with PG&E. I'm from San Francisco where, in the summer, if I don't turn on my air conditioning, my electricity bill is less. And there's a special rate for me the rest of the year. And it's terrific, but these are these things that you can't do if you're not a connected city because, what happens is I get a text message in the morning saying, today's gonna be a really hot day. You agreed you wouldn't turn your air conditioning on. And that's how I get good rates the rest of the year. But that's the kind of smarts I think that we need in all of these areas.
Francisco, what's the coolest thing West Hollywood is doing?
With regards to water technology?
No, not to being a smart city, a city that everybody else is envious of.
One of the many things we're doing, a holistic.
You got pretty banners, I know.
Funny that you bring that up. We're actually doing a street media assessment. We're looking at all of the city's assets within the public right-of-way and how to actually turn those into like a real public benefit. So we're looking at, for example, things like street furniture. But instead of street furniture just being a place where you can just wait for the bus, it actually becomes a civic space. a space where you can get information about what's happening in the city. If you're a visitor, a tourist, you find information about what's happening nearby, in that particular area. And then, a place we just get free Wi-Fi, for example. We are considering doing just free Wi-Fi across the entire city, so all of the public space and the public right-of-way. So that's kind of really progressive because we're saying the more connected we are, the more connected our residents are, just the better informed, the more...
Are there other cities you envy that you model yourselves on and say, I want to become like Oslo or something?
New York is doing fantastic things with regards to civic innovation,
Yes.
and maybe because of the Bloomberg influence.
Right.
But they're doing some fantastic things, and they've really built a community of civic innovation and what we call the innovation economy with the tech and the really innovative communities.
Right.
So that's really a model that we're modeling ourselves after.
Well, one of the things I just want to mention that we're striving for, and Dominique will appreciate this, is the sustainability of the structures and a second life for the buildings. Many of these World's Fairs, Olympics, they don't know what to do with the buildings afterwards. So we want to make sure that because we're big and bold in Los Angeles and everyone looks to us for innovation, that we want to be in the forefront and the cutting edge of having sustainable, reusable structures that are one life for the fair and then a second life, maybe low-income housing or whatever the community is dictating in the 88 cities that represent Los Angeles County.
What is going to be your biggest problem?
Oh, gosh. We're going to have hurdles. We're going to have NIMBYs, right?
Uh-huh.
We're going to have the caves. So we're going to have, opposition from different communities, I'm sure. But it's very much in our 4 pillars of our company. It's an epic, transformative, grassroots, and if we're going to be doing this for 8 to 10 years, fun. So our grassroots initiative is going city by city, not only getting the support like from West Hollywood, from the other cities that we're working towards, is really listening to what the community wants because it's connected through the new infrastructure, through a retinal scan or a thumbprint. In lieu of the tap card now, you have to fast forward and be big and bold 7 years from now, and you're going to arrive at a community where there's a pod or a pavilion and really celebrate our diversity. So we want to make sure that this is a very grassroots effort, which it's starting that way.
I want to ask you a minute, because I'm going to ask Eddie. I know we're at 1 minute and we then have drinks, right? But I want to ask everybody to kind of give you an opportunity here. And this is Lindsay. Lindsay, where's Anna? They have microphones, and you two have microphones, for instance. So share. If you can articulate in a sentence a great idea that takes us down this connectivity, smart cities, smart connectivity, then I'd love to hear it from you. Just a quick phrase. But before I do that, I want to ask Ed, because I didn't ask him, who are you jealous of or envious of? Or do you just, is Southern California Edison so powerful it doesn't worry about it?
No, I mean, I got to tell you, California's actually got a lot to be proud of.
Mm. How would you solve the water problem, by the way?
Oh, now you're taking me right off the reservation. Well, I got this weekend. I'm going out to Lake Mead. We've got a ski boat out in Nevada at Lake Mead, and it is so sad to see that dam. I mean, it is down 170, 180 feet, and they're heading towards water rationing in Nevada. And I believe Arizona, and because we're just this giant straw,
right?
And so every time it rains once in a blue moon, here in Southern California, all that water just goes down the drain and out into the bay, and I was hearing somebody talk, I think this morning or this afternoon, saying that we need to figure out a way to, instead of treating it to pump it into the bay, we treat it, put it back in the ground, and then it comes out. I love that story. I mean, that's great. It's that innovate. We've got policies. We've got an administration that is really driving this. A legislature that's driving it. You've got the scale of the utilities, the energy companies now coming online with electric transportation.
And working together.
So I think that, and we heard about this again in the previous panel. This public-private partnership. I think we're all beginning to pull together. So I think what is happening in this state is going to be a harbinger of what needs to happen in the rest of the country. And we are, we're a nation state.
Right.
We're a nation state. And I think that we're actually showing the way to the rest of the world and the rest of the country.
Fascinating. Quick comment, Nidhi?
Yeah, well, I think combining all this, so I think one of the things we need is research, really, and science to guide a lot of our policy. I mean, Governor Rendell earlier today was talking about how we kind of make policy from crisis to crisis, and we never quite get there because we've got 3 weak memories. That's kind of one of the things we do at RAND. I mean, we had a huge study with the Bureau of Reclamation on how to better manage the Colorado River Basin. Because, I mean, this is governed by laws going back to like the last 2 centuries. So it requires thinking that much in advance of what are we going to do for the coming centuries. It's not just a problem for 2015 or 2016. It's a long-term problem. So I think this is where research institutions can partner and provide some longer-term insights for a lot of the good decision-making.
Thank you. So smart ideas lightning round, right here. Who are you and what's your idea? Stand up.
Yes, hi. My name is John Greg Gomez, and I'm a filmmaker and occasional game designer.
Yeah.
And I'd like to see all this stuff leveraged for more playful cities.
Leverage for, I missed that.
More playful cities.
Playful cities, what a great idea. Now you.
Sean Landris, I'm a commissioner on the LA County Quality and Productivity Commission. I would like to see more cross-sector data. I mean, who thought World's Fair plus Metro? That's a great serendipity.
Yeah.
We
We
need
did.
more, but we need more thinking across. We need to put apples.
So next time
and
we do this, you should bring your own
transistors.
cross-sector deal.
And we're doing gamification over there at Metro. too.
Excellent, gamification,
Nice.
happy
Nice.
metros, happy socks. Yes, ma'am.
I'm Phyllis Chastain. I teach at UCLA and
Hi,
working
Phyllis.
on my doctorate. I think we need more partnerships so that we can harvest what works from the population that's retiring, the succession plan. We need
Right.
to use what works and use that in our planning for the future. That's
That's
why I
great.
think-
You know, and we at the Atlantic have worked with organizations like AARP to look at, an aging population, aging in place, what that means, and how to not make it the minimum threshold way, but how to put some muscle into thinking about the economic impacts of that and, the creative things that come out of it. Yes, sir. Jefferson. You looked at me as if you had aren't you partnering with her on this? Say something, I'm giving you an opportunity for a double hit on the fair.
Well, how about the Hyperloop? Let's see if we can get that
Oh,
to
the
happen.
Hyperloop.
Yeah.
So tell us, can you describe for people watching online that are right now in Alabama what the Hyperloop is?
Sure. The Hyperloop is a high-speed transportation methodology that uses vacuum technology. Basically,
It's like the old bank vacuum tube.
Yeah, well,
You
it
put
takes the
yourself in
air
that
that's
and,
in front of the vehicle and pushes it behind it. So it's actually
you get from
you're
San
not flying
Francisco
in
to
a
LA
vacuum,
in
but-
30 minutes?
Yeah, you're creating it. And our idea, and we're in conversations with people of possibly doing a short loop because 5 miles is possible between Union Station and Dodger Stadium.
Wow. Well, that is a great idea. I mean, bold, yes, right here.
Hi, Steve. My name is Robert Fortunato. I'm the
Hi, Robert.
owner and builder of what is called the Green Idea House.
Oh.
We have harvested as much energy as we use, including transportation. Ed knows about our project. We partnered with Southern California Edison and the USGBC and 70 other entities to do this thing that's possible. And you're talking about infrastructure. Can we make all of our buildings harvest as much energy and water as they use, right? Very simple concept, but it transforms the whole city into a giant water and energy collector.
That's interesting. Any other last, yes, yeah, go ahead. Give him the mic. Your last word, make it good.
Okay, I'm Gregory Wright. I'm affiliated with the World's Fair and, and several other projects. I'm a comprehensive generalist.
Okay.
And this relates to the idea we just heard from Mr. Fortunato. I've been thinking about enormous structures that would cover clusters of medium and low-rise buildings, covered largely with solar photovoltaic thin-film material, also topiary and vegetation for habitat, while lowering generating lots of solar electricity while lowering the cooling load of buildings beneath it, also harvesting water on these enormous surfaces, and also perhaps directing air movement to create cooling wind on the inside.
So on that, I'm going to say that sounds like a great movie. And, very Buckminster Fullerish. I think you've got it. But you like the Buckminster Fuller idea. There you go. I just want to say, when Daniel Lewin was up here and said you guys are the product, you guys are also very much part of the solution. When you talk about a connected city, we talk about where we're going, and also when I think about these questions, usually it's not very much with people in mind. It's sensors and how do you get water and electric systems and all these things to talk about. But I think this has been a good reminder of how important people and innovation and what this is all about are. So I want to thank all of you. Give yourselves all a round of applause, but also give our fantastic panel, Nidhi Kalra, Edward Kjaer, Lindy Lee, Dominique Smith, and our special guest, Steve Clemons of the LA World's Fair. Good luck with that. That sounds awesome. And Francisco Contreras from the city of West Hollywood, which I also think is awesome and where I used to live. And I hope to live one day again. So anyway, thank you very much. Thanks all of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all.